Everywhere ain't the same. You know, every coach ain't the same, but you know, there was definitely, you know, some places, you know, they run a strict program.
He was like that in KC too?
Now, we played ball in KC. We played ball in KC. We had fun, you know. You got Pat Mahomes out there. Shit. Ain't no script. Man, ain't no you run a route like this. Shit, just get open. Play ball, read Pat. That's why they win. That's why Andy Reid is the GOAT. So, you know, shit, they gonna keep winning. Gotta have fun.
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to Brian's World. I am your host, the ambassador of Kansas City, Kansas City's favorite son, Brian B. Shynin. I'm so blessed and honored that you're here with me, sharing this time right here on Brian's World, and I guarantee I will not waste it because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. Love and appreciate you for that. Please, first things first, holla at my people at Foolish Club Media. Rate, subscribe, and review all at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. And of course, while you're at YouTube, please search for the B Shynin page so you can subscribe to me and everything that I got going for you. I got a lot of shit cracking. Not only with Brian's World dropping, R&B Shynin, mixes, Hustle and Shine in the morning content where I'm talking to Mary Lucas every single week. All of those videos and all of that content you can catch on the Brian B. Shynin page at B Shynin on YouTube. Subscribe and like and love and do all of that right now immediately. This week on the pod inside Brian's World, we're going to take a look inside the Chiefs and what I believe our most obvious first round need is. I'm sure you can guess what it is too. And other things with the Chiefs, Mahomes put out a video of him doing like a 5-step drop. Truman Sports Complex could be transforming. There's a couple of things to talk about with the Chiefs. Is Kansas City becoming unaffordable? There were some stats that just dropped that, oh God, that could be changing the landscape of our city. We'll dive into that. Russell Wilson and Lil Future's father-son relationship. Fatherhood is one of my passions. And I think that this relationship is something that we need to examine and talk about within our community. And then Jay-Z's take on hip hop beef in the year 2026. He's not necessarily a fan of it these days. A lot of people are looking at him sideways. I have my thoughts. We'll dive into all of that and more in this week's episode of Brian's World.
I think we have a lot of work to do on both sides of the football, and we added Kenneth Walker, and we have some good core pieces on the offensive line in place. But whether it be receiver or edge rusher or defensive back, I think really anything's in play. And it's hard to say when you're at 9 because you don't know how the first 8 picks are going to go. I mean, I can tell you if we were picking 2. Who would be a likely candidate, but picking 9, you're kind of at the mercy of some of these other teams and their decisions. So I think it's just a matter of going through all the scenarios and being prepared to take, to work through who's left, and so we'll see how it goes.
Draft season, the season of lies, smoke screens, trickeration. And I just think that the Chiefs are playing it well because I don't think nobody knows what the Chiefs are going to do. Usually you have a gauge on, okay, well, they might need an offensive lineman this year, or they might need a cornerback, I think that one thing's for sure with the Chiefs draft is that they're going to draft defense. Historically, that's what Brett Veach has done. Paid offense, draft defense. When the defensive guys get good enough to get paid too much, you trade them off, get more assets, and repeat the cycle again. The Chiefs have left themselves room to where people are not necessarily pinpointing what they need or what they want. Now, we don't know what's going on in these backdoor conversations or, the trade talks or whatever it is that the GMs and the front offices do in the National Football League. But I think more than likely, edge is probably where the Chiefs are going to go with this number 9 pick. Of course, it depends on how the board falls and if those edges are still there with Bain. Edge is one of the few positions it's worth a first round investment every single time because of how football is played. Of course, the quarterbacks and throwing the ball is, the focal point of a lot of teams in the league right now. And you have to create consistent pressure without blitzing. The Chiefs had, 25 sacks or something like that last year? That's not good enough. That's not going to get it done. And I just got a feeling in a lot of those games, a lot of those one-score games last year, the Chiefs were losing. If there were more pressure put on the opposing quarterback, like game number 1 in Brazil against the Chargers, Justin Herbert escapes for a first down. Of course, Chris Jones made an error, but with more pressure on a quarterback, the less pressure you have on your defensive backs. You can't rely on scheme forever either with the Chiefs. Eventually, you're gonna need your guys to win 1-on-1. Looking at the Chiefs' defensive line last year, who honestly was going to win their 1-on-1 matchups all the time? Who was a guy out of that lineup, taking Chris Jones out of it, that you could depend on, that damn, he's definitely going to be in a quarterback's face on this 3rd and 5 or this 3rd and 8 or whatever it may be? Amenihu? No. Karlaftis? More oftentimes, no. Dana? No. Nadi? No. Pernell? No. He's not even in on those situations a lot of times. King Felix? No. Can't even get on the field. So I really do think that right now that edge is definitely the front runner. It could go corner there because that cornerback room right now is lacking. But that's what the draft is for. And this is what Veach does. But you need to put pressure on the quarterback. And the Chiefs defense just lacked so much in that department last year. And these elite quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, they require pressure with 4. You bring 6, you bring a blitz, you bring a nickel back coming off the edge. A lot of good quarterbacks are going to read that, decipher it, and kill you on a 3rd and long or whatever the situation may be. But I think that this is going to be a young, ferocious defense, a repeat of the 2022 season when and then you first off look at the 22 season with all of those rookies who was getting playing time on that Chiefs defense. And then you look at the 2023 season, which now looking back, I think you can call that defense one of the more underrated defenses in recent NFL memory because a lot of people don't even remember how great that 2023 Chiefs defense was. And it was full of young bucks, full of those draft picks that Veach had in 2022. Leo Chenal, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Brian Cook. There are a number of players who were drafted in that 22 season and ended up being a pretty damn good defense in 23 and was a solid defense for the most part in 24 as well. Got back to the Super Bowl. So look, man, I just think it's going to be a repeat of what we did 4 years ago, something similar to that. Of course, that was after the Tyreek Hill trade. You got Karlaftis and McDuffie both in the 1st round. That second first round pick that we have, not so sure if the Chiefs are going to stay pat right there, even though they have a lot of experience drafting right there at that spot in the draft order normally. In the late 20s, 30s, coming off long playoff runs the previous season. I can see the Chiefs trading back and just accumulating more picks with that second first round pick that the Chiefs got from the Rams. But I think most certainly with all of the draft pick selections that the Chiefs have this year, defense more than likely is going to go to not all of them, but I would say all but 2 are gonna go to defense in this draft this year. Interesting that Mahomes put out this video of him doing that drop step. I think it was the same day that the NFL announced that the Seahawks will be playing the first game of the NFL season this year on a Wednesday, which is going to be a little different. Not mad at it though, because the NFL is going to also have that second game of the season. I think it'll be on that Thursday or Friday or something. One of those days, I'm not sure. But Mahomes seems to be on track, and on time to play week 1. They was talking about off-season training activities. Some people were reporting that he's on track to be ready for. But I'll say this, man, as a Chiefs fan and as a Mahomes supporter, for sure, it felt good to see him actually doing some football drills, him up on his leg. Because the last time that we saw Mahomes on any kind of football field doing anything athletically, he was getting, taken off the field because of that torn ACL. But I'm so glad that he got that surgery immediately after he had got hurt last, season, last November or December or whatever. Because if that was the case, he might have to wait a while, maybe a couple weeks or a month or so, and that would have pushed back the entire timeline. So we might not have seen Mahomes do a drop back step, maybe until April if he hadn't got that surgery immediately after he got hurt. But I know I'm not the only Chiefs fan that felt like, damn, woo, it feel good to see my boy back out there, doing his thing. And with the advancement of technology and surgeries now, I think we should be able to breathe just a little easier with how athletes are recovering from these type of injuries these days. Now, of course, it's with the athlete and them trusting themselves and them trusting their athletic ability within their bodies that just got hurt. So it usually takes, a year or so to get back to yourself fully, to your best capacity. But Mahomes looks like he's right on track. Definitely got me excited for the season coming up. And I think the Chiefs aren't done shopping either, adding players. A little cap room they have, not much, but I think enough to sign 2 players who I think could really add depth and a certain, veteran toughness. One of which, first off, I'm talking about Tyreek Hill and Cam Jordan. Of course, we talked about Tyreek coming back to the Chiefs, and there's been reports of saying that he's narrowed his options down to 2 teams, which is the Chiefs and the Chargers. If he goes to the Chargers, we will never forgive him for that. But the other one, Cam Jordan, I think he'll add something to this team that a lot of championship teams can acquire. And this is kind of the cheat code too. Like, Cam Jordan is a veteran who is well respected around the league. He's had a great career, more than likely probably going to be a Hall of Famer. And he's a veteran looking for a Super Bowl. So if you look back on some dynasties or some, legendary teams like the Cowboys, okay? Like in the 90s, if you could play with the Cowboys, you wanted to play with them. Deion Sanders, of course, they got him. They won the Super Bowl. I look at the Chicago Bulls in a similar situation to when they got Dennis Rodman. Now, he had been successful already with the Pistons, and he was doing his thing with the Spurs too. But when you can add veterans, like more so at the end of their career, to where other teams don't see the value in them anymore, but that if they're in the right situation, they can thrive. I think Cam Jordan is in that exact same situation right now. Not saying that he's Dennis Rodman or Deion Sanders or whatever. He's a damn good player. But I think he can add that kind of mental toughness or extra gear that the veterans might need in order for another Super Bowl run to happen. So along with those 2, I think the Chiefs are not done shopping, adding on to this team for this year. There was an announcement about the Truman Sports Complex, and there were some renderings that were released. And I have some mixed feelings about them. Because, okay, like, so what's with these renderings? What I see hotels, I see some tennis courts. I want to know the purpose of this Truman Sports Complex and what it's actually going to do. Is this going to be a pickleball, tennis, baseball, soccer complex? Is this going to be a complete, like, total sports complex? Like, what are we doing? With the renderings, I'm just confused on what the actual intent is for this thing that they have. Now, of course, the business leaders and that commission, they're going to come together and throw ideas around and try to get businesses to come through. But ask yourself this: if you're from Kansas City and you've been around the area around Truman Sports Complex and that area in Raytown, period, like, are we sure that's an anchor for economic development right there? I think it's been a reason why people have not invested around there. I think people have lightweight tried to invest around there a little bit, but nothing can stay open besides the damn Taco Bell and the gas station over there. The Denny's was staying open and it was okay, but damn, that done burnt down. So it's like, not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze for that area over there, the Truman Sports Complex is. So I just and then I just think it's just a little too late. Like, we should have been doing this. We should have did this 20 years ago when Kansas City passed the renovations for Arrowhead and Kaufman in what, 2006, 2007, or whenever that was. There should have been some foresight from somebody in Kansas City to be like, hey, we need to develop around the Truman Sports Complex. There could be some opportunities there for, whatever. But people just have never seen that area worth the development. And now we see the results of that, of what happened. And now it's like, it's too late to try and develop it now. For what? For what? What are we going to do with these stadiums? Like, what are they going to become venue opportunities for entertainment and music? Or I don't know. I don't know what the point is, and I don't know what ultimately what would draw people there from everything else there is to do in Kansas City and downtown and Overland Park and Olathe and Lee Summit. Like, what specifically is going to drive people to this Truman Sports Complex that just seems to be full of two empty stadiums and some possible hotels?
Well, this is it.